Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS, presenting to you the daily quiz for 24th of August 2021. Let us begin and have a look at the first question for today. Which of the given statements best describes the recently launched Yuktdhara Portal? A portal launched for planning, coordination, execution, and monitoring of skill development initiatives, an online repository of assets created under various national rural development programs such as Manrega, Integrated Watershed Management Program, etc., a platform for effective enforcement of no child labor policy, a data repository for all the meteorological missions of ISRO, and deals with weather-related information, oceanography, and tropical water cycles. Before we discuss the answer, let us have a look at the context. This PIB article states that the Yuktdhara Geospatial Planning Portal has been launched. This Yuktdhara portal will serve as a repository of assets, that is the assets with geotags that have been created under different rural development programs. For example, assets created under Manrega or the assets created under the Integrated Watershed Management Program or the Per Drop More Crop Program or Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana are geotagged, right? And the Yuktdhara portal will act as an online repository of these geotagged assets. So what is the significance or importance of this Yuktdhara portal? This portal will ensure that there is a long-term monitoring of the assets that are created over the years. Also, it will help the Gram Panchayat level planning of new Manrega assets using remote sensing and GIS based information. So these Yuktdhara based plans will be prepared by the grassroots functionary, and then these plans will be verified by the appropriate authorities to check for its relevance and for resource allocation. So the right answer to our question would be option B. Here option C is talking about the pencil portal and option D is talking about MOSTAC, that is the Meteorological and Oceanographic Satellite Data Archival Center. Moving on to question number 2, consider the following statements with respect to Chakmas and Hajongs. Number 1, they came to India from Bhutan after being displaced due to the submergence of their land due to the construction of Kaptai Dam. Chakmas are predominantly Buddhists and Hajongs are Hindus. They are both identified as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. What is the context? As per this article in the Hindu newspaper today, the Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh in his Independence Day speech said that the Chakma people in Arunachal Pradesh will be moved and settled outside of Arunachal Pradesh. And this has attracted the wrath of Chakma organization. So who are these Chakmas and Hajongs? The Chakmas and the Hajong people came to India from the Chittagong hill tracts, which is now in Bangladesh. These people came to India in the 1960s and they were rehabilitated in the Northeast Frontier Agency that later became Arunachal Pradesh. These people migrated to India for two main reasons. Number 1, their land was submerged and they were displaced due to the Kaptai Dam on the Karnafuli River, which was built as a part of the Kaptai Hydropower project. And this is in Bangladesh. The second reason is that they faced religious persecution in East Pakistan or now Bangladesh as they were non-Muslims. The Hajongs are Hindus and the Chakmas are predominantly Buddhists. The Indian government then had set up relief camps for them in Arunachal Pradesh and a majority of these people continue to live there even after 50 years. Now let us go back to the question and answer it. Yes, they were displaced due to the construction of the Kaptai Dam, but did they come from Bhutan? No. They moved to India from Bangladesh or the then East Pakistan. So this becomes incorrect. Statement number 2, as we discussed, is correct. Statement number 3 is again incorrect because they are not classified as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Therefore, the right answer to this question would be 2 only, that is option C. Coming to question number 3, SARTHAQ often in news is option A, an initiative launched to improve the proficiency in reading and numeracy among children in the age group of 3 to 9 years. Option B, an implementation plan for school education launched in pursuance of the goals of National Education Policy 2020. Option C, a national teachers platform built to host open educational resources and tools for teachers in schools, teacher educators in teacher education institutes, and student teachers. Option D, an initiative to provide skills and right competencies to women so that they can take up gainful employment. Why this question? This PIB article today has a reference to SARTHAQ. What is SARTHAQ? SARTHAQ stands for Students and Teachers Holistic Advancement Through Quality Education. This was developed by the Department of School Education and Literacy. So what exactly is this? It is an indicative and suggestive implementation plan for school education. And this was rolled out to help in the implementation of the National Education Policy of 2020. Therefore, the right answer to our question would be option B. SARTHAQ is an implementation plan for school education launched in pursuance of the goals of National Education Policy 2020. Moving on to question number 4. Which of the given statements is or are correct? India has signed an intergovernmental agreement with Russia for supply of Krivak stealth frigates. 2 Krivak stealth ships are being built with technology transfer from Russia by Goa Shipyard Limited under Make in India. Krivak stealth frigates have been inducted into the Indian Navy under the Talwar class and the Teak class. What is the context? This article in the Hindu newspaper today talks about the Krivak class vessels. So, Krivak stealth frigates are a series of frigates and guard ships that were built in the Soviet Union primarily for the Soviet Navy since 1970s. And these are used to accomplish a variety of naval missions. For example, finding and eliminating enemy submarines and large surface ships. And the Indian Navy currently operates 6 Krivak class frigates that weigh around 4,000 tons in 2 different batches. That is the Talwar class and the upgraded Teak class. In October 2016, India and Russia signed an intergovernmental agreement for 4 Krivak or Talwar stealth frigates. The first 2 frigates will be built in Russia and the other 2 will be built in Goa Shipyard Limited under the Make in India with technology transfer from Russia. And these will be armed with BrahMos anti-ship and land attack missiles. As we've discussed, all the 3 statements are correct. Therefore, the right answer to our question would be option D, 1, 2 and 3. Now let us take up a previous year question from Prelims paper 2016. With reference to Financial Stability and Development Council, consider the following statements. Number 1, it is an organ of Niti Aayog. Number 2, it is headed by the Union Finance Minister. Number 3, it monitors macro-prudential supervision of the economy. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? The Financial Stability and Development Council was set up in the year 2010. And this council falls under the Department of Economic Affairs and not Niti Aayog. At this stage, we can eliminate option A and option D. Yes, it is headed by the Union Finance Minister since the Finance Minister is the chairman of Financial Stability and Development Council. So the right answer has to be option C, 2 and 3 only. See, this council was set up to strengthen and institutionalize the mechanism for financial stability and for enhancing the inter-regulatory coordination and for promoting financial sector development. Yes, it does monitor macro-prudential supervision of the economy. So statement 3 is also right, and we already know that the answer is option C. Now let us take up the fact of the day, which is National Monetization Pipeline. What is the context? The Finance Minister has unveiled the National Monetization Pipeline. This was identified in the Union Budget of 2021 and 22. And this plans to monetize on the public assets. So what exactly is asset monetization? Asset monetization means creating new sources of revenue with the help of underutilized or unutilized public assets. We have to understand here that public assets are significant resource for all the economies, and many public sector assets are suboptimally used, and these can be monetized to create greater financial leverage. And this particular option, as we already discussed, was identified in the Union Budget of 2021 and 22. The budget identified monetization of operating public infrastructure assets as a key means for sustainable infrastructure financing. That is, new sources of revenue will be created by using all the underutilized or unutilized public assets, right? And for this, the budget provided for the preparation of a national monetization pipeline of potential brownfield infrastructure assets. What are brownfield assets? A brownfield asset is an already developed asset. So now, what is this National Monetization Pipeline? This is a roadmap for asset monetization initiative of the government. So this National Monetization Pipeline will help in identifying the potential monetization ready projects across various infrastructure sectors. As a part of the National Monetization Pipeline, assets created by the public sector undertakings such as the National Highway Authority of India, the Airport Authority of India and the railways would be sold, and the money raised would be used for the creation of new infrastructure assets. And now it has been estimated that the core assets of central government has an aggregate monetization potential of 6 lakh crores. And this will be monetized through 4 years from financial year 2022 to 2025. At present, while making the estimates, only the assets of central government line ministries and the central public sector enterprises in infrastructure sector have been included. And all these sectors have been identified for asset monetization. And out of these, the top 5 sectors amount to nearly 83% of the aggregate pipeline value. There are 3 important things to be noted here. The asset monetization will be through monetization of rights and not the ownership. That is, at the end of the transaction life, these assets will be handed back to the government and the government does not lose ownership of the asset. Number 2, only the brownfield assets are considered for asset monetization. Number 3, this kind of asset monetization will have structured partnership with defined contractual frameworks. So under this, the private firms can invest in projects for a fixed return and operate and develop the assets before transferring them back to the government agency. Please note that the period for National Monetization Pipeline has been decided to be coterminous with the balance period under the National Infrastructure Pipeline. Also note that the National Monetization Pipeline is in line with the government's strategic divestment policy. So ultimately, the end objective of this National Monetization Pipeline initiative is to enable infrastructure creation through monetization, where both the public as well as the private sector will collaborate. That is all for today. Thank you for being with us. Keep watching and keep learning.